Most people spend thousands of dollars on supplements, sleep trackers, and brain training apps trying to get smarter and sharper. But almost nobody talks about the quiet, everyday habits that are slowly working against you. And the scary part is, some of the most damaging ones feel completely harmless. In fact, a few of them probably feel good. So before you invest another dollar or another minute trying to optimize your brain, you need to hear this first. Today we are going over 12 habits that are actively damaging your brain. Some of these you already suspect. Others are going to genuinely surprise you. Either way, by the end of this video, you will have a clear picture of what is working against your mind every single day and what you can do about it. Let us get into it. Number 1 is chronic sleep deprivation. Here is something most people do not realize. When you sleep, your brain does not just rest. It actually runs a cleaning cycle. Your glymphatic system, which is essentially your brain's waste removal network, flushes out toxic proteins and metabolic byproducts that build up during the day. When you consistently cut your sleep short, that cleaning cycle gets interrupted. Over time, those toxic proteins accumulate. Research has linked this accumulation to long-term cognitive decline. Missing one night of sleep is annoying. Missing months or years of quality sleep is a different problem entirely. Number 2 is sitting for most of the day. You have probably heard that sitting is the new smoking. That phrase exists for a reason. Physical movement drives blood flow to the brain, and blood flow carries oxygen and nutrients that your neurons need to function properly. When you are sedentary for hours at a time, that flow decreases. Studies have shown that people who sit for prolonged periods without breaks show reduced volume in the medial temporal lobe, which is a brain region directly involved in memory. You do not need to become an athlete. You just need to move more consistently throughout your day. Number 3 is eating a diet high in ultra-processed foods. Your gut and your brain are in constant communication through something called the gut-brain axis. When you regularly eat foods loaded with artificial additives, refined sugars, and unhealthy fats, you disrupt the balance of bacteria in your gut microbiome. That disruption sends inflammatory signals up to the brain. Chronic neuroinflammation is associated with depression, cognitive fog, and a measurably faster rate of cognitive aging. The food on your plate is not just fueling your body. It is literally shaping how your brain functions day to day. Number 4 is constant digital distraction. Every time you switch between tasks, your brain pays a cost. Researchers call this attention residue. Part of your mental bandwidth stays stuck on the previous task even after you have moved on. When you spend your day bouncing between notifications, social media feeds, and emails, you are essentially training your brain to operate in a fragmented, shallow way. Over time, this makes deep focus harder to achieve and easier to lose. Your attention span does not just shrink passively. You actively train it to be shorter by rewarding distraction every single day. Number 5 is chronic stress without recovery. Short-term stress is actually useful. It sharpens your focus and primes your body for action. But when stress becomes your baseline and never gets resolved, your body keeps releasing cortisol. Elevated cortisol over extended periods has been shown to physically shrink the hippocampus, which is the part of your brain responsible for memory formation and spatial navigation. Chronic stress does not just make you feel bad. It structurally alters your brain in measurable ways. Number 6 is social isolation. Human beings evolved as deeply social creatures, and your brain reflects that. Social interaction exercises some of the most complex cognitive functions you have, including reading emotions, predicting behavior, and constructing nuanced language. When people withdraw from social connection for long periods, studies consistently show accelerated cognitive decline and significantly higher rates of dementia. Loneliness is not just emotionally painful, it is neurologically costly. Number 7 is smoking. Cigarette smoke reduces blood flow to the brain, damages blood vessels, and introduces a flood of toxic compounds into your system. Long-term smokers show measurably thinner cortexes in regions responsible for memory, attention, and executive function. The cortex naturally thins as we age, but smoking accelerates that process dramatically. It is one of the most well-documented and preventable ways to age your brain faster than your years. Number 8 is consuming alcohol. This one deserves honest discussion because alcohol is so normalized in modern culture that its neurological impact often gets minimized or ignored entirely. The reality is that alcohol is a neurotoxin. It interferes with neurotransmitter systems, disrupts the communication between brain cells, and damages the protective myelin sheath that insulates your neurons. Even moderate drinking, when practiced habitually over years, has been associated with reductions in brain volume, particularly in the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus. These are regions central to decision-making, impulse control, and memory. Heavy drinking accelerates this damage significantly and can cause a condition called Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, a severe neurological disorder driven by thiamine deficiency that results in profound memory loss and disorientation. The brain can recover partially from alcohol-related damage if drinking stops, but the recovery is not always complete, and the earlier and more consistently someone drinks, the greater the cumulative cost. This is not about moral judgment. It is simply about understanding what repeated alcohol exposure does to the physical structure of your brain over time. Number 9 is skipping breakfast or regularly undereating. Your brain consumes a disproportionate amount of your body's total energy. Even though it makes up only about 2% of your body weight, it uses roughly 20% of your caloric intake. When you consistently skip meals or restrict calories too aggressively, your brain operates in a low fuel state. Concentration drops, reaction time slows, and emotional regulation becomes harder. This is not a minor inconvenience. It is your most energy-hungry organ running on empty. Number 10 is listening to loud audio for extended periods. Hearing loss and cognitive decline are more connected than most people realize. When your auditory system is damaged, your brain has to work significantly harder to process sound. That extra cognitive load diverts resources away from other functions like memory and reasoning. Several large-scale studies have found that untreated hearing loss is one of the most significant modifiable risk factors for dementia. Your earbuds at full volume feel harmless in the moment, but repeated exposure builds up into real, lasting damage. Number 11 is never challenging your mind intellectually. Your brain is not a static organ. It is constantly reorganizing itself based on what you do and what you do not do. This property is called neuroplasticity. When you stop learning new skills, engaging with complex problems, or exposing yourself to unfamiliar ideas, the neural pathways that support those functions weaken. Use it or lose it is not just a motivational phrase. It is a fairly accurate description of how the brain maintains its capacity. Reading, learning instruments, picking up new languages, and solving problems all help maintain and build cognitive reserve. Number 12 is chronic dehydration. Even mild dehydration has a measurable impact on brain performance. Your brain is roughly 75% water, and it is extremely sensitive to fluid changes. Studies show that a fluid loss of even 1 to 2% of your body weight can impair attention, short-term memory, and mood regulation. Most people walk around in a mildly dehydrated state without realizing it, and they chalk up the resulting brain fog and fatigue to stress or poor sleep, when the fix could be as straightforward as drinking more water consistently throughout the day. Here is the bigger picture. Your brain is not invincible, and it is not aging in a vacuum. Every habit you practice sends a signal. You are either building it up or breaking it down. The good news is that most of the habits on this list are reversible, or at least improvable. You have more influence over your long-term cognitive health than most people ever act on. If this video gave you something useful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep building a stronger, sharper mind, stick around because we have a lot more coming on exactly that.